In life, we are dealt a different hand of cards. Any hand can be a good or even a bad hand. Dustin's hand of cards has been struggle, emotional pain, and even physical challenges. Joining me for BS Sessions Volume 57 is Dustin Henry of No Credentials Required, as we take a stroll down memory lane and into the lands of the past. But before we go on with the show, here's a reminder that this show is unfortunately not free. So time for some ads. This show ain't free, so time for some ads.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
This is Han Solo, and I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours right here on the Midnight Shift.
It's time to BS.
So, Dustin, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right. This is a little different, different background, different everything, different vibes.
Yeah. The picture in the background is Montauk Point, Long Island. So it's a picture that I took personally, and I want to get back into photography. I have a weird little interest with photography.
Yeah, man. I would say don't let it die, because that's something I'm kind of struggling with now in my 40s, is like some of the stuff that I used to really be into and the stuff that I lean on, in times of strife or whatever. Sometimes I'm finding it doesn't have the same impact, man. It doesn't have this.
It's like music in that way, like music back in its heyday, back in the 90s and the 60s, going backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
It was always, this is a really good tune that you could sit down, have a drink with, have a cigar with, Pink Floyd. And
that'll work. Yeah.
There you go. And just relax. And nowadays you really don't get that same feeling today as you did back then.
No. And I think that's something I've always been interested in, because I went to school for music. As you know, I went to college for music, not performance. When I was 10, I thought I was going to be a rock star. And I told everybody that until I was about 21 years old. And then I was more interested in what they were doing behind the console when I got to college. But we can talk about the impact that had if we want to go down that rabbit hole. But music, so there's a couple different reasons why it's changed. One, we get older, and usually they say from the years of about 13 to like 25, that's your pocket for music. And that's when you're more open to new music. But whatever you listen to and gravitate towards in that time, that becomes like your safe space, your home. So
yeah,
as you get older, you're not attracted to newer stuff. And then couple that with streaming services. I mean, I love the fact that if I don't know about an artist, you told me about one in the Patreon exclusive green room in Seahawks Sessions, and I was able to just pull up her album right away. And now I have it on my playlist to listen to. But the drawback to that is the way music is being written is changing, because people are trying to hook people in right away so that they can get royalties for the play. Because if you don't listen to the track for 30 seconds, they don't get paid. So people are adapting how music is written, and to me, I think that's why it doesn't have the same impact. It's a combining of both those factors, is because there's no time to let the song build, you know?
Not at all. And your story has always been quite interesting, to put it that way. And for those who don't know who Dustin is and where Dustin came from, how would you describe, like, if you were writing a story, if you were writing a book, or
Yeah.
directing a film, or writing a song that tells your story, what would you say that story would be written?
Well, that's kind of it's funny because music used to be my identity when I grew up. That's where my sense of self came from. I grew up, my parents divorced when I was like 6. So I've always known the two different households and stuff. And my mom and dad they were different people. Obviously, they didn't stay together, so there wasn't enough to like keep them together, but they kind of bonded over music because I remember asking my mom because they were so different. And I'm like, Mom, how did you and dad stay together? And she said, really? We bonded over music. That they used to like to go see live shows. They liked some of the similar types of music because my dad's a little older than my mom is. So they kind of like lined up in taste that way. But even my dad, who I didn't I didn't bond with as much. Like I was a mama's boy, still am. But
Yeah.
like she got me into music, but my dad did too. When I was a kid, Elvis Presley was like the first artist. My dad loved Elvis, and he exposed me to Elvis, and I like latched onto it. So as long as I can remember, the story would have to start with music to me. It would have to start with music. I grew up in the capital region. I'm still here. I haven't traveled much. This is home. And this is what I know. And I would say music, the impact started right away, and I'm a creature of habit. I'm a kid of
Trust me,
divorce.
dude. We all are sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you know about it, but and you look for safe spaces. And when I was a kid, my mom was my safe space. And I was a sensitive kid, man. Like I and to this day I would get nostalgic. I remember my mom would always be like, I'd randomly come up to her when I was like 7 years old, and I'd be like, "What happened to my red shirt?" And she'd be like, "We donated it. You grew out of it 2 years ago." And I would be like, "But I liked that shirt."
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. Like
Oh,
I
man.
I
It's like,
wanted it. And I did. I've always been open about it. I grew up with cerebral palsy. That would have to be part of my story because no doubt it shaped who I am and part of the way that I think as a person, but I've never let it define me, other than the fact that I know that I'm very lucky. I started school earlier than most because they had to evaluate me to make sure that I was fit for quote unquote standard schooling. I won't use.
oh, geez. Yeah. I hear you. And it's the whole deal with the whole running joke that I've had with the school district is that there is nothing that is more, how would I put this, segregating
Yeah.
than public schools. Like,
Yeah,
jeez,
yeah.
it's crazy because, like, those who know this show know this story quite well. I was diagnosed in the autism spectrum at 2 years old,
Yeah.
and for majority of my life in school, I was put in the smaller classes,
Mhm.
and that's who, that's was my identity for a lot of people's eyes was, oh, look at Dan in the smaller classes. He's different. Let's go pick on him. It's like, but
Yeah.
in reality, you don't know who that person is until you see them behind the mask of the mask of that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in your case, it was cerebral palsy,
Yeah.
and that mask is so broad because there's different layers of cerebral palsy.
Yeah, there's different levels. I had to do physical therapy when I was younger. I had a number of operations when I was younger. Not like as many as some, but enough to where the point it did get to the point where I did not want to go to the doctor for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's manifested itself as I've gotten older. But these are the types of things, you know, I'm pretty open behind a microphone, but that's because I've gotten used to it. And obviously I know you, so I feel comfortable with you. If I go in, people that know me, I tell them that I'm shy and they don't believe me, but I am shy. You put me in a new situation, I'm a wallflower. I'm going to be at the wall. I'm going to, depending on where it is, I can feel very uncomfortable. But once I get to know you and I feel comfortable with you and like safe with you, I'll open up and I'll start joking around and doing the stuff that I do. But it was a long time. I mean, growing up when I was younger, everybody was very nice. It was more of like a curiosity, you know. It was more of like, hey, what's going on? And you know, sometimes rumors would start about why I walk the way that I do or whatever. Like there was one flying around that I was in a car accident when I was a kid. And I just kind of let that one happen. I kind of let that one happen. I would correct people if they asked me. But the thing is, like my mom always, there would be moments where I'd be sad because something happened at school or whatever. And we'll get to it. That's why guitar was such a pivotal thing for me, because I used it when I was sad. I used it when I was angry. I used it when I was frustrated. From about the age of 12 to 13 to 28, I would say I leaned heavily on the guitar. And that love of music, it comes up. My mother, I have childhood memories of sitting in her guitar case, and I have her guitar case right next to me. I have a guitar over there. But I can't believe I used to be small enough to sit in that case, man. I used to sit in it and watch her play. So I don't know. As cliche as it sounds, the story has to start with music. Everything else is secondary. My parents divorcing, I don't think it impacted me because it's what I've known. A lot of people, I know that's like a sticking point for a lot of people, but that's what I know. So it didn't bother me. I mean, there's certain things, I'm sure if you look at my life, there's certain things that branch off of it, but music is really the start. It's what I gravitated towards. And full disclosure, when I was younger, I didn't feel like I was good at a lot of things. My mother was one of those people. She could just pick something up easily, seemingly. Everything seemingly came easy to her. And my father he has Alzheimer's now, so it's different, but he was very mechanically inclined, very athletic. That's what he valued. And I wasn't good at any of that stuff. So I kind of felt like, you know, where do I fit in? And it was my mom that said, you can do things with music. Cause I used to tell her when I got younger, I said, when I got older, I would be like, Mom, I'm not good at anything. I'm not good at anything. And she would have to talk me off the ledge. I don't know why, because I feel like I have a lot of good childhood memories, but I don't know if it's the same case for you, but I was always worried. I was always worried about something. Worried about doing the wrong thing, worried about not being on time. I used to stress.
Trust me, dude. I got
tests.
you. Yup, literally. I mean, I could tell you a whole bunch of stuff of just tall tales about like my life and stuff like that. But like my life has always been like a weird book. Yeah. In that regard, everyone's story is written in different forms of writing, and with yours, it was music. Mom, cerebral palsy, just school, but it always leads back to music in that regard. For me, it was always like, you're right. I was the, how would I put this? Not pessimistic, but constantly trying to fit in. Yeah. In that regard, I was like, we've all seen Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Island of Misfit Toys, for God's sakes. That was my childhood in that regard. Like, I had a decent childhood in that regard. I had a good childhood. I wouldn't say I had a bad childhood, but it was pretty good. Yeah. But a majority of life at school was always, oh, look at this weirdo over here. Let's make fun of him because he's different. Yeah. And there was a lot of anger that built up in that regard. There's still a little bit of anger and rage and whatever you want to call it from that time.
Yeah.
It's been subsided, but for you, it was, how would you describe school life, childhood in that shape or form?
When I was younger, it was very good. I felt like I knew what I wanted to do and I knew where I fit in, and I just was figuring it out. Like, I remember getting an award at one of my classes, and it's one of those things, you have an assembly and they hand out an award to every kid. But
Yeah.
mine was like Mr. For lack of a better term, it was like Mr. Popular. Like, I knew everybody, but it was because because my classes were so small.
Yeah.
And and then it carried over to elementary school, because the elementary school was right in the neighborhood where I grew up. I could walk to it, but even as far back as then, my mother did not want me walking in the neighborhood, and I begged her because I wanted to fit in, right? Because I had a few friends that walked to school, and I wanted to walk to school, and I never did. But even back then, like, everybody, it was pretty good. I knew everybody in my neighborhood had Cub Scouts, did my Cub Scout troop.
Oh,
and let me tell you, I went all the way to Arrow of Light. I got the Arrow of Light. I had one meeting. I had one meeting in the basement of a church for Boy Scouts, and it just didn't feel right to me. And my mom went to pick me up, and I go, "Mom, I don't want to go there anymore." And she's like, "All right." That was it. That was it for the
there you go.
For the
very reasonable.
But yeah, as I got older, and I think it's a bit of a tired tale, but as I got older, like probably starting around 5th, 6th grade, that's when people started to be like, all right, you're weird. People would tell me I was weird, and I believed them. I believed them for a long time.
Yeah, that sticks with you for 10, 15 years plus.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to break out every now and then. I still deal with that here and there.
Oh, yeah. No, me too, man. But I think that's why it's weird. We have Ryan to thank for this, bringing us together. But I think we could both tell. Like, yeah, this guy's like my deal. We have some of the same interests and stuff. And that to me, that was so all the way up through high school, I had my group of friends. I started my band. I was very close with those guys, but I was the butt of the joke a lot of times in our friend group, and there were times, I don't know if you ever dealt with this, but there were times back in the day where certain people would act differently when it was just them and myself. But then when other people were around, they felt like they had to pump up. And as you get older, you learn that that's other people's insecurities. And I was guilty of that in other scenarios as well. But I definitely am learning how sensitive I was. And that's where I gravitated towards music. And I can tell you the summer of 1994 was pivotal for me, because my friend's older brother put on headphones, and it was Pearl Jam's Once, the opening track of 10. And I heard that because previous to that, MJ was my guy. Michael Jackson, I had posters of him everywhere. I had dressed up as him for Halloween, or tried to. I was trying to learn to moonwalk. I couldn't do it. But it's like, but as soon as, and I mean, it's coupled with the fact that there were those allegations surrounding Michael. The summer of 94, a couple pivotal things happened. My friend's older brother, my best friend growing up, we were like brothers. I spent a lot of time at their house. Shout out to the Millers if you're listening. They were like a second family to me. And he put the headphones on my ears, and I just went, what the heck is this? And then, so I started with Pearl Jam, but then I went on to Nirvana, which 1994 was the year that Kurt Cobain died. So I got into it after, because the music was everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, I just latched to it. That was my identity all the way through finishing elementary school, all the way through junior high, all the way through into high school. And like I leaned into it. And I think a lot of people in my high school, man, they were on to Dave Matthews and Fish by then. Like Nirvana was not in vogue anymore. So I ended up making friends with a lot of like the metal heads and like the other kids that were kind of on the fringes, you know, they say. So.
Yeah. Which always leads back to the running joke or the running game, which was, hey, I just want to learn to fit in. Like,
yeah.
There is a period of time where you're from the ages of 12 or 11 years old to maybe like 23 or 24, where all you want to do is just, hey, I want to fit in quotes.
Yeah.
But then you learn to not give a flying you-know-what
Yeah.
somewhere in your mid-20s, where you just learn, oh, the only person's opinion that matters is myself.
Yeah.
And what I view of myself in that regard. Took me a few years to really, how would I put this, grasp that straw of, hey, this is BS.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a crap what people think about me. I mean, I do, but I don't give a crap what people think about me. How I view myself is a completely different spectrum.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I would add to that, like along with the self view, which is something I'm still working through and certain people have an impact on your life for positive and negative. The negative self view does come from somewhere. And I know where most of mine comes from. I thought that I was over this stuff, but at my, you know, there were things in my childhood where I kind of felt like in certain situations I was under a microscope all the time. I couldn't do anything right. So that's where the negative comes from. But I can pinpoint the positive where things started to shift. And for me, it was a little later in life because I've always had a very close relationship with my sister. I have a brother and sister, but my father was married 3 times. So my sister, that is my full biological sister, we're very close. We're like 2 years apart in age. You know, we always stuck up for each other, stood by each other, because there were times we were, you know, she used to watch me when I was a kid when she got old enough because my mom was working 5 jobs to make things happen at certain points. And that's where I get a lot of my work ethic from. But it pales in comparison to hers. She was a thoroughbred.
There you go.
But the thing is, I can pinpoint the positive too. Into my early 30s, I met somebody and she said to me, she's like, "You're not a gargoyle. Like, you're not, you act like she goes, you act like you're Quasimodo in your tower." And to be fair, I kind of was. This house where I'm podcasting right now, I promise I'm going to get something up on the walls. I got some stuff to figure out right now. But like, I still
get a flag or something. Pull a Kevin or something, Kevin like that. Flag.
Yeah.
The Dustin flag.
Yeah. But
there you go.
You know, I still view this house as like my safe space, and my fortress of solitude, I think, is what I said. And this
Fort
was
Dustin.
Yeah. And this was a big goal for me. But she was like, you know, you don't have to like lock yourself up in a tower. You have things to offer, like and it was just because nobody had really said that to me in life outside of my family at times, particularly my mom and also my sister. They would say these things, but I don't know about you, Dan, but I always had the view like, well, they have to say it. They're like my family, so they have to say it.
Yeah, right. I was in the exact same boat where I was like, you're just my mother. Like, you are just saying that because you're biased and I'm your son and you're my mother. You're not saying it because you mean it. And it was the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
You still deal with that. You still deal with that when you're older. You're just like, you're BSing me right now. And I don't know how to explain it, but you are.
Yeah, it's time to BS, man.
There you go. There you go. But you mentioned the microscope part of the childhood where you thought you were under a microscope.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
How would you describe that description?
So there's two factors, and I guess we're getting real, but I don't think one of my I don't think
Welcome
one
to
of my
BS Sessions, my friend.
yeah, I don't think one of my family members is going to download this, and whoever listens to this is going to be like, "Yo, he." But you caught it. I told you. I said you caught me on a day, so we're likely
Trust
to
me,
go
dude.
there.
You are not the only one that has said that.
No,
It's like,
no,
oh,
for sure.
I hope this cousin doesn't listen to this. I'm like,
Yeah.
who cares? Go off.
Yeah, but so what it is like, all right, so there's twofold because my mother was very supportive of everything. But she grew up in a house where it was similar, right? So if you were doing something, she would have a better way to do it, and she wouldn't
Yeah.
she wouldn't go about it in like a lot of times she was just trying to teach you, but I didn't realize till I got older. I still remember the moment. I was still living with her. I was in my very early 20s. I had just gotten home from college because I wouldn't buy this house until I was 27. So I saved for a year, or for a few years rather. And she did a lot of things to help me. Man, I could speak so highly of my mom, but it would be a 3-hour show if I just kept extolling the virtues of my mom.
Yeah, I hear you.
But she was like, I was washing my car, dude, and she opened up the window out her room because you could see the driveway from her room. She opened up the window and she said, "Use more soap." And I'm just like, I thought to myself at that moment, I'm 22 years old. I can't even use the right amount of soap. So I
Yeah,
got
I
that.
hear
I
you.
got that going. I got that going on the one side, and then on the other side, when my dad remarried, the person he remarried, I don't. To be fair, I was a child. I get that, but I made it very clear I was team mom. Looking back with an older lens, um, I didn't really give. But the thing is, the person that my dad remarried, it got to the point. It was very obvious that she was not a fan of me. And so on the other side, I had that. So you put those two things together and you just are feeling like, oh
What do I do
man.
here?
Yeah, yeah,
What do I
yeah.
do here?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do now.
And that's why music became such a safe haven. I mean, I've said it before. There is a lyric in Radio Friendly Unit Shifter by Nirvana. In Utero is my favorite album by that band. But part of the chorus is Kurt Cobain just says, "What is wrong with me?" And at 11 years old, I latched onto that so hard, and
Yep.
I felt it. Like I felt it.
Yeah.
And I would never talk to people about this. And so that's how I think it ended up. I started writing songs to try to deal with it. Very, very, like by the time at 12 or 13, I think 13, I wrote my first song, and I started trying to. Most of my songs at that time were autobiographical, and I kept them in a box because I didn't want anybody to find the lyrics because I was afraid of what would happen if they found the lyrics, because sadness was my muse. And
Yeah.
um and I think the big thing is we can get into it, but I've talked about how music, its its significance for me, I think, is fading, and I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with that. And I've been trying to figure it out because it was such a large part of who I am, who I was and am for so long. But the thing is, I think what's happened is I'm not in the place where I need it as much, if that's what makes sense.
Which is good, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
That's good. We
It
like
is
that.
good.
Thumbs up.
It is
Thumbs up.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
But music has always been so calming and so just relaxing in that regard. I got one of my favorite lyrics tattooed on my wrist.
Oh, nice,
Soulshine,
man.
Soulshine from the Allman Brothers back in '95.
Mhm.
And when Government Mule from who's Warren Haynes,
Yep,
and a
Warren
few
Haynes,
other
yep.
guys.
Derek Trucks, he plays with them sometimes,
He
doesn't he?
does every now and then. That
Yeah.
dude is a man possessed.
He's
when
a
he plays
prodigy,
guitar.
dude. There's no other. He was like ripping at that level at like 15 years old. It was crazy.
Scary talent. But when there's a music festival that happens here on Long Island every year during the summer called the Great South Bay Music Festival, located in Patchogue, New York, on the South Bay of Long Island. And there's a festival. It's a festival of just old school, new school musicians that come all over, sometimes all over the country and come over here. Joe Bonamosa, who's from upstate, he came down to the festival one year. It was awesome. Taking Back Sunday was just a very popular pop punk band. They're from Amityville, Long Island. They're not that far from me. They came for the festival. It was great. It was a great time. And then Government Mule came in, and when I found out
That's
they
a
were
weird mix of bands, dude. I like that.
It's a great festival. And when I found out that Government Mule was Eddie Money also came in not that long ago before he passed away. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But when Government Mule came in, it was like 2018 when they came down here. When I saw it, like the person I was with at the time, I said, I'm getting tickets. And they were like, you sure? Like, yeah, I'm getting tickets. Hell yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And it was a great concert. It was a bunch of people in their 50s and 60s. I didn't care. I was probably the only young dude there. I didn't give a crap. But they went into the back of the stage and they came back out for the encore, which was Soul Shine. And it was awesome.
Oh, man.
It was awesome. Just sitting in that crowd when that song was being played and just listen to guitar, there's something healing about music.
Yeah.
And when people say they're like, oh, music's so good today, I disagree with that. And
I mean, there's some good stuff, but you got to look. Because
you have to look.
It's the old, you know Kevin Smith, right? The movie director, the podcaster. Yeah. So he was kind of my entryway into podcasting too, because I think part of it is comedy and podcasting is kind of filling the space where music used to be for me. That might be part of it,
which is good.
But Kevin said one time, he said, everybody's got a story, and the entry point for podcasting specifically, he's like, all you need to do is grab an iPhone if you really want to, and you can get it done.
YouTube,
tell
literally.
Your story. But the problem is that goes along with that. And I'm not saying that this is a negative, but the pool is so much wider now because the barrier to entry is lower.
It is. You're right.
Back in the day, you used to have to, you had to get signed to a major label to really make. I mean, there were some big indie labels, and we can go down the list. And I know REM was technically one of the biggest indie bands in the world at one point. They got huge on college radio. I get it. Shout out to college radio. I was at the radio station because I just wanted to help my roommate out in college.
Rick Rubin was another one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rick Rubin back in the 80s and 90s was huge in that. Long Island's own Rick Rubin, by the way, not that far.
Oh, man. I didn't know he was there.
He's from Long Island. He's from Long Island. I didn't know that until maybe about a year ago when he went on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I was like, you're from Long Island? You went to LIC? Are you kidding me?
Oh, man. So let me ask you as a Long Islander, because I listened to one of the podcasts I listened to back in the day. It doesn't exist anymore in the form that I used it, but IGN's podcast Beyond, and it was about PlayStation, and it was Colin Moriarty, it was Greg Miller. Now, both of them have split off and formed their own respective companies now. Mm-hmm. They're about my age, so maybe if you're a little younger than me, you don't know who they are, but Colin is from Long Island, and he lived in San Francisco for like a decade, and then he lives somewhere in Virginia now, but he's still like identify he's a diehard Jet fan. He's an Islanders hockey fan, and he says like being from Long Island is a thing. Like there's a pride. So let me ask you, as a fellow Long Islander, is that true? Is it like everybody? because it seems like everybody that's from Long Island, they rep it. Yeah, there we
See
go.
the tattoo?
Yeah,
you
there
can
we
see the
go.
tattoo that's on my forearm.
Yeah.
The Long Island culture is really interesting because we're such a unique demographic of people. We really are. And I had this joke that like there is such a thing as, you know, southern hospitality or country hospitality. It's like
Yeah.
the phrase southern hospitality is when someone breaks down the side of the road, you get 3 or 4 trucks that are right behind you to fix you right up and back on the road. Long Island's really weird because we get that depending on where you are. We are a mix of southern hospitality and street cred.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but it's so interesting because we really like there's a mix of the beach community, like you got farmers out on the east side, you got street cred all the way on the west side of Long Island towards the city, and then you get the North Shore, which is like I don't know what's going on over there, but it's like a mix of Great Gatsby and God knows what over there. It's just they're there, but everyone on the island is just so interesting.
Yeah.
With the phrase be because yeah, we rep the island on our sleeve. Obviously, you're looking at it on my forearm.
Yeah.
But there's some people that can't wait to leave, and there's some people that can't wait to come back home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know. I think that's a common theme here because like a lot of people make fun of where I am. Albany, they call it Smallbany, and everybody's like, how the hell is this the capital? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm in the capital region, the surrounding areas like Albany, Schenectady, Troy, blah, blah, blah. And people like to make fun of those cities. And we make fun of those cities sometimes. But then if somebody else does it, you're kind of like, hey, I can do that, but like you can't do that.
We have a past here, you don't, sir.
Yeah.
I have the running joke because you mentioned earlier in your ramble about you had a few friends that were constantly making you the butt of the joke, and I had that too. Yeah. I had a couple friends that were making me the butt of their joke, and because of their own insecurities. Yeah. There's this one time, and it's a hilarious story, but it's kind of stupid and dark. We were going through a Sonic drive-through.
Okay.
Not that far from me. And one of them goes, "Hey Dan, do you have a propeller cap or bicycle helmet?" I'm like, "Why? Why? Do you have a handicap sticker?" I'm like, I don't. I know where this is going. And
yeah.
And that was like, okay, you clearly are just having me to joke around.
Yeah.
And the delivery was funny because if you put on a bicycle helmet and act like more special needs, we can get free food. I'm like, that's really messed up.
Yeah. That's so, and I think you hit on something that matters because delivery can change when somebody's laughing with you instead of at you. And I do have an example of that. It is funny because I laughed when these kids did it. So there was a couple kids that I was friends with, and they were in marching band, and I was not. I was just in regular band. I played the saxophone, as Homer Simpson once called it.
Hell yeah!
But I was in regular band, and they came up to me and they're like, "Man, we asked Mr. P if we could have you join marching band," and I was like, "Why?" He goes, because we're raising money to go to Disney World and we're selling candy bars." And he's like, if we had you with us, we get to the front of the lines of all the rides. I'm like, first of all, I'm not disabled enough to get to the front of the lines. But it was funny because they were like, "Yeah, we asked him if we could take you." Like they were laughing, so I laughed and I didn't take offense to it, but I was just like,
really? Yeah. It's like, really? That's the thing. Like the people that I used to like be really good friends with, the ones that made the joke at Sonic.
Yeah.
Like they would always call me, stop being a sense of salary and take a joke. But like, the thing is, like, I can take a joke. I love a good joke. I'm super dark in that regard. I love a good dark joke. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where it's like, pick your audience and delivery matters.
Yes.
If you are saying a joke about something super dark to the victim of said something that was super dark,
yeah,
then the delivery does not freaking matter. There goes, hey, you learn to read the room here and there. Literally.
Yeah.
I could joke with you and be like, oh man. Well, like, if I do something stupid, I'll go, oh man. Well, that's why I rode the short bus most of my life.
Oh yeah. And I made those jokes at a certain point because when I was younger, I think what I never understood, and I think it would have helped me. Some of the stuff I brought on myself because I used to get you could wind me up. You could wind me up pretty easy. And as I got older, I finally figured out, well, I might make fun of myself before they do it. Or I might or I don't, it's the cliche, but don't show them as much of a reaction and they'll stop doing it. But I was in the same boat as you were. People would call me stop being so sensitive or whatever, but it was when it was because nobody else in certain situations were getting the jokes. It was all just an avalanche. And it's different when it's just an avalanche. It wasn't really until I got to college where I realized, okay, this is like an equal exchange. Like my roommate Scott make fun of me, but then I can hit him back and like we both laugh about it. It wasn't just a constant barrage. And that's when I realized that some of the people I thought were my friends, they weren't really my friends back then.
The punching bag thing, right? Yeah.
They'd use, and hey, it's a dog eat dog world out there. I get it. Some kids, you don't know what they have going on at home. They're just trying to survive. But at the time, you don't understand any of that. And you're just like, that's how you get 11, 12 years old going, what is wrong with me?
Right.
And then, and then it's when you lose a person that you feel like understands you. And the first time that happened to me, that was my grandpa. And that was that summer of 94 as well. I will never forget it. He died. We used to go to the track, my mother's side of the family, Saratoga Race Course. We went every year and we would go, and we went to the track one day. We were playing a game of Monopoly. He said, let's finish this tomorrow. I said, okay. He's gone. He had a heart attack, 65. And I mean, that was the first time, like, that impacted me. I did write a song about that when I was 16.
Yep.
And so it took me a few years to get to it, but he was the first one. I'm left-handed. He's left-handed. I have a thing in my chest that they call pigeon's chest. That's what they used to call it. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't say something offensive. Hopefully I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
But that's what they used to call that. And I'm the only one in my family that had that except for him. He was also another one who he taught me how to play boogie woogie on the piano because he could play the piano. My mom got some of her musical talent from him, and then I feel like mom passed it on to me, but mine was a little different than hers. And so, but he was another, like, identifying, like, he was somebody where you're like, where does this come from? When you don't necessarily feel like you fit in all the time. He was somebody I'm like, okay, he's like kind of where I get some of my stuff from. And then when he's gone, you're just kind of like, whoa. And then
you're like, whoa, what do I do here now?
it changed the family. And then, fast forwarding to 34 years old, I lost my mom. And that's been something that I'm still 8 years later. I still, there are days like today where I just wanted to call her because I wanted to see what she would say.
Of course.
I got some things going on. I got a decision about a project that I made, and I said to myself, "Man, I really wish Mom was here because I would talk to her." And it's kind of, you don't trust yourself sometimes, and you need,
of course,
at least I need that. I guess you could call it validation or whatever. But but yeah, we're going all over the place. But
Yeah, that's the beauty of this
yeah,
show. There really is.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man. I mean, there was a period of my life where I was really beginning to like, oh Jesus. There was a time in childhood where I remember this very clearly, and this is super dark when I say it, so apologies for those listening. There was a time in my life as a child where I'm like, hey, do I have a purpose of existing here?
Mhm.
Like, what's my purpose here? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that sticks with you. That sticks with you for a long time.
it does.
And it never really clicked in my brain until Christ recently, where I said, you know what? I'm just gonna chill and live my life.
Yeah,
You know what? And if people don't like me for it,
yeah.
I don't care.
No,
And that's
that's the thing. And I applaud you for figuring it out earlier than I did. Because right, what is it all for? Like everybody, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of
yeah,
people, and a lot of times they mean well, right?
yeah,
But societal rules, there's like these unwritten rules of society. It's like when you buy quote unquote a starter home, eventually you'll start a family and you'll buy another one and you'll have kids. And not everybody does that. You know, for
yeah.
me, somebody always told me, and I'll kind of censor it because I know we're a family network here.
Technically, yes.
But so like someone once told me, and it really resonated with me, if kids aren't an F yes, then it's probably a no. Like if you're not sure whether you want kids, you probably don't want them. You
Yeah,
know,
I hear
and
you.
so for me, that I feel like that ship has sailed, but I'm 42 and everybody's like, how come you're still living in the same house? And I'm like, because my mortgage is good. And how come, and I
Right.
used to let it get to me. And social media is a bad one for this, man.
Oh my God.
You can go on the rabbit hole and you can be like, oh, look what this person does. And I'm
Oh,
not here and they're doing this. But remember one thing when it comes to social media, for anybody that's listening out there, and maybe something that Dan or I have said today that resonated with you, remember social media, people are only posting the wins. It's a very curated view of a person's life. You're not getting the full story from social
no,
media.
you're not. And that's the thing that I like to. One of my favorite comedians to listen to is Joey Diaz.
Oh,
Oh my God, I love him to death. And he mentioned something that like there is a time where like from 26 to 28 is about the time where you've been brokenhearted and you've had a job or you've had a few jobs or maybe you got a job that you weren't necessarily happy at. But there is a time in your life where you start to say, screw it. I'm going to just do what I think is morally right or what I think is, what I'm personally okay with, or like, because everything is so divided nowadays on, social media. And this is obviously, the most careful thing I can say.
yeah.
But at the same point, it's like my moral code has always been, okay, if I can vibe with you, if how would I put this? I can vibe with just about anybody.
Yeah.
If we can agree to disagree on just about anything. It's when you get nasty on anything
Yeah.
that I start to leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
When you get nasty over something as stupid as sports or music or whatever, TV or hell, even politics, which we're not going to get down that cesspool because who cares? Because in reality is if you have to associate your every life decision based off of that,
Yeah.
then it's like, what are you doing? Because, and I've lost friends because of that.
Yeah, no, it's I haven't really lost friends because of that straight up, but I definitely there's a few people that I'm not as close with anymore or whatever. And some of that is just life. Sometimes
Yeah.
when you're a kid, I don't know if you felt the same way, but when you're a kid, you felt like the people that you were friends with, they were going to be in your life forever.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And you're like,
yes.
and I mean, it's a comedian. It's another comedian that said this, and it was on Seinfeld actually. And Jerry goes, there's one point where he's like, we were 10, he had a ping pong table and I like to play ping pong, and like the guy still wanted to be friends with him when they're like 32,
40. Yes.
and Jerry had like nothing in common. And my mom was the one, it keeps coming back to mom, she told me one time,
Which is good.
I used to get busted up about it, and she would say, look, just because you're friends with somebody now doesn't mean you always will be, and you don't have to stay friends with the person if you want it. Because I felt, one of the things that I would say, it's very easy for me, it's how I'm wired, I'm working through it through various methods, but if somebody tells me, okay, what's something you can criticize about yourself, I'll rattle off 6 things like that. But when somebody says, what's a positive quality about you, I struggle sometimes, but the one that I always came back to was loyalty. I'm like, I'm loyal. I don't drop a person just because I disagree with them. I'll stick by through people through thick and thin. A few of my friends know that. And but the thing is, like, being loyal to a fault isn't always good. Like, you have to be able to accept that things can and will change. And what did we say at the top of the show? I am a creature of habit. So I feel like that is I am atypical. I am 42 years old, and I'm not going to say when my birthday is. So whoever's listening, stop writing down the data, because you can do the math. But I'm not going to do it. But I am 42 years old. I've been at the same job for coming on 20 years. It will be 20 years in August. It will, I find comfort in routine. I haven't traveled much, and sometimes I struggle with that, but I realize that I spend my money in other ways. Like I got
You ever considered a cat?
Yeah, people have talked about that. My sister's allergic to cats. She's told me, she goes, get a cat. I'm like, why are you telling me to get a cat? You're allergic. You want to be sneezing and your eyes closing up every time you come over to the house.
Do you want to hear something funny? You want to hear something hysterical? So my lovely soon-to-be wife, Megan,
yes,
who has been on this show twice, she's allergic to cats.
And she's a cat person.
She's a cat person. She's allergic to everything hairy, which is the funniest thing in the world, because we got 2 cats. We got Donna and Toby, and then she's got a dog that hates me. So Rosie, who's our dog, she's a Bichon. She's a good dog, but she's been through a lot. So the running joke that I have is that she's a feminist and she hates men, but she's got a good reason, because she was a puppy mill dog for the Amish back in Pennsylvania, and they rescued her when she was 5 or 6 years old, pumping out puppies like a psychopath. So she naturally hates men. Yeah. So the joke is she hates men, so she's a feminist. But it's hilarious. But until you learn the backstory and you go, oh man. Yeah. But she's a good dog. She really is.
Yeah, and dogs are the best, and I love dogs. My dad always loved dogs; he still does. My sister has a dog. I've mentioned him many times. Pickles. I watch him a lot. He was here for the Super Bowl. I love dogs dearly, but dogs are a lot of responsibility, and correct. I work a lot of hours sometimes, and I don't feel that it would be fair to the dog to be left home all the time. If life changes, like when I was dating my ex, she had a dog, and I loved him. He was a great dog, and that's a whole different thing, because you got 2 people to take care of. I mean, maybe down the road I'll get a dog. I do love dogs. I like cats too, but I'm a dog person.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. I don't know. I used to think I would never get a cat, because I had 2 dogs growing up. I had a German Shepherd and a Maltese and Poodle mix when I was younger. And I said, you know what? I work. I also don't want the responsibility of taking care of another dog because my last dog, Max, was like the best dog I ever had. So nothing can really replace him.
Yeah.
I got his paw print tattooed on my forearm right here.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So I settled for the cat, and I was like, what's a good name for a cat that doesn't sound too stupid, but is also funny? And so I had this. So there was this song. I'm going to tell you the origin story of Donut. So there was this song by like 3 dudes on a few ukuleles, and they're going like, everybody loves donuts. And that song has been stuck in my head for like 10 years. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to get a cat, I'm going to name it Donut.
There you go.
There's Donut.
Donut is there.
Donut is love. Donut is life. Everyone loves Donut. And when me and Megan first met, she was a pastry chef at the time. And I told her, it's like, oh yeah, I have this cat. She's like, oh really? What's her name? Donut. She goes, shut up.
You know, we'd have to ask her, was that one of the first signs? Like,
oh my God,
I'm a pastry chef. This guy's got a cat named Donut. Maybe it's meant to be. But I can't resist. I'm going to inject a little bit of Seahawks Sessions in. This will
go for it. Go for it.
So you said that she's allergic to anything hairy. So what happens when she's with you?
Nice. Well done. Very well done, ladies and gentlemen.
I could barely. I'll see myself out.
You're good. You're good. It was good. It was good. That was a good one. That was a really good one.
I wouldn't get the crickets.
No, you don't get the crickets. That was good. That was pretty good. But so I famously showed up to our first date shaved head.
Oh wow!
I never told you this story.
No, I've only known you for probably about, with your guest appearances on No Creds and stuff, probably about 3 years or 2.5 ish. So I cannot picture you with a shaved head.
So the hysterical story is I was too lazy to go get a haircut.
Okay,
and I had a date like the next day, and I said, screw it, I'm just gonna give it a shot. And if it's for real, then this worked. So,
oh man.
So I was pretty much like doing the leap of faith thing with my hair. And I had the beard was a little shorter at the time. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this and see where this goes. It was in the middle of the summer. I hate the heat. It's terrible. I dislike the heat with the burning passion of 1,000 suns.
I love it. Summer's my favorite season, brother.
Give me 30 degrees and no wind, and I'm fine.
Okay.
But I'm a polar bear at heart. I don't care. So I shaved my head by myself in the shower. I'm like buzzing my head, and I took a few razor blades, and I just like dealt with the rest. And I sent her a picture, and she's like, "Oh God." So if you ask her to this day, she's like, I'm still terrified by that image in my head. I showed up to our first date bald, and it was hilarious. And almost 3 years later, she's got a ring on her dang finger. Here we are. So.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it worked out for you. It worked out, and that's
if I ever question myself, like, hey, does this woman love me? I remember myself, and I go, I show up to our first date shaved head.
Yeah.
If that doesn't prove her loyalty to me, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
So?
Yeah, man.
Oh
my
man.
goodness. And that's been the thing. You got to find your people. However you do it. Am I a bit of a Peter Pan probably compared to most people my age? Yeah. Because I'm still on top of all the gaming consoles that come out. I got to switch to closely after launch.
Do you see my collection of stupidity that I have here?
Well, that's another thing we connected over, because I used to do the journey where podcasting probably started replacing music ever so slightly. Music still has an amazing place in my heart, but as
for those watching, Dustin's got a few guitars and is behind him.
yeah. You know, maybe if we ever do a part 2 to this thing, I'll break a couple out. But yeah, it's like podcasting. I started listening to podcasting at work all the time because I think part of it was it was still part of me grieving, maybe, because I
Yeah.
wanted to record records. And I felt like a failure for a lot of years because I didn't use my college degree. And a lot of people are that way, but I wouldn't change what I did in college, because college, it was me chasing a dream. It was giving it a try. And that's a hard thing. And my dad, dad was not as supportive as mom. He was worried when I told him I wanted to go into music.
Yeah.
Mom was like, you could do it. But then mom, when I told her, I said, Mom, I don't think I want to be a rock star anymore, even though I've been telling people. She said, well, you're a very private person, and I don't think you would have dealt well with being under that lens.
Yeah.
But then but if she could see the version of me now that's in front of a microphone, and I'm like telling people, the intimate details of my life to the internet. But
yeah, right.
It is what it is. But so I was listening to podcasts at work, and I think sometimes it's a thing, man. I like to hear a good story. Some of my favorite things from when I was a little kid are those, those books on tape. Did you ever
Yes.
and they had Disney versions of them, and they came with an illustrated book, and then it was like, here, you put in this tape and you press it, you press the button, and it's like, when this chime plays and it makes a little chime noise, it's like, turn the page. So I used to listen to
tapes,
those.
right? Yes.
Yeah. I used to listen to those on loop. And I listened to them through a lot of my surgeries on my ears, surgeries on my legs, surgeries on my eyes when I was younger. And then I got one when I was much older. But I would listen to those books on tape, and my sister and I would listen to those books on tape, and my mom would listen to them with me. And I think I internalized that, and podcasting became that for me. I would listen to people talk all day because I like to hear a good story, and it made the workday go by. And then I heard that Kevin Smith, where he said, everybody's got a story. And then my friend Chris, he's who I have to give a shout out to, because I have trouble jumping off the ledge sometimes. And Chris was like, hey, let's do it. And we'll do a podcast about gaming. And we did for a year and some change. It was audio only, Geek Appreciation. No, you can't find the episodes out there, so don't go looking. You can't find them anymore. But I think that's where music started to take a back seat to podcasting, because now, and we fast forward through a bunch of stuff, but just to bow it up, Ryan came to me years later. He knew I had done the podcast with Chris like a decade ago at this point. And it was one of the ways that I could use my audio background every once in a while. Yep. And Ryan came to me, and I had just gone through a breakup, and I wasn't doing well. And Ryan said, hey, I do a sports podcast. He's like, I've been looking for a new co-host. Will you do this with me? And I just figured, why not? And then I dove in, and now it's become one of the things I look forward to most. I mean, we talk about it every Friday. We look forward to Friday, man. We love it.
Literally. And that was, geez, I could tell my story about podcasting for like hours.
Yeah.
But that would take forever. Like, I started recording on my phone and posting to SoundCloud.
Oh, man, that's old school.
Yeah, it was really old school at the time. And then it was called The Sports Cave. It was originally the show I was doing, which was all sports.
Yeah.
And then I rebranded to Time to BS because it's like, you know what? I don't want to be a ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And I listened to a bunch of these other sports shows. They're just like, oh, here's the stat of the day. I'm like, how could you be any more generic? And that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah. You have your own thing. That's what we've had discussions about it, in the Patreon exclusive green room. You have your own style for sure with interviewing, and it's what makes you. And it's why one of the things immediately that I stopped doing when I started doing No Credentials Required, I stopped listening to sports podcasts or sports radio or any of that, because I didn't want another person's thoughts to enter my brain like unconsciously, and then I regurgitated them. I was trying to find my own style. Now, Ryan and I, we have a style on the show. You, Kevin, and I, we have a style on Seahawks Sessions. I think they're different. But what I bring to both shows is, I can assure you, it's me. It may be a little different on each show, but it is me. That's why I do not listen to sports podcasts anymore, even though there's some I'd love to follow out there.
Oh, there's a few shows I still listen to every now and then on the sports side of things. But I used to listen to Dan Le Batard.
Yeah.
When he was on ESPN radio for like forever. And then he left and did his own thing with DraftKings, and I try to listen to it. It just feels like nails on chalkboard because it's just, it's not what I loved. It's not what I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
And it stings because everyone seems to go into the same cesspool of, oh, you have to talk politics. Yeah. No, the hell you don't.
You don't. And the thing is, there's ways, because I will say sometimes it's really hard not to, because
for me it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy, but I will say in certain situations, there are times where I'm like, well, if I'm silent, does that mean I'm complicit with what's going on? But there's ways that you can be subtle about it. And also, what we all have to remember as content creators or podcast hosts or whatever we are, most times people are trying to, they don't want to focus on that. This is their escape. This is their. And
I had this exact discussion with Jared over the corner booth. Yeah. Like when I did BS sessions with him, he said it himself, we go to sports and music and podcasting and gaming to escape this bull crap. And the fact that it's like being sucked into it is like, just go away. So what I usually do is when I catch myself getting into like those discussions in quotes, is I just go, this doesn't make me happy. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave this room. And that's I call it the effort adjustment. Yeah. Obviously to keep it PG. My therapist says that I think too hard sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I literally, right? And I'll tell her, it's like, sometimes I just need to leave the room and go do my own thing. And she goes, does that help? I go, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
literally.
Again, man, I got to doff my cap to you because you figured that out about yourself. It took me a long time, and I didn't realize until about 2 years ago. And it's when I finally started going to therapy because something happened in my life that was pivotal. Well, it's more than 2 years ago now, but it's that breakup I was talking about. And I knew I wasn't doing well. I knew, and it's the first time that I reached out for help. And so we dissected it, and I dissected it in therapy. My mom was the person that could talk me off the ledge. My mom was the person that could get me out of the cycle or certain things. Or if she said something was a good decision, then that was good enough for me. That was the rubber stamp of approval I needed.
Yeah.
So then when she died and I didn't have that anymore, I didn't realize how much I leaned on her. I mean, like I knew, but like that's something at 42 years old. I'm not ashamed to admit it. For a while I was, but like I'm still figuring that out, like how to navigate things without that person or that adjustment. Because mom was that adjustment for a while. I could be like, hey, this is bothering me. She would give me her advice, and then I'd be like, okay. And whereas you've already figured out, all right, let me like recenter myself. And the old version of me would have used music to do that. But
it took some bumps in the road. I'm not going to lie. It took some bumps in the road to figure this out. I'm not going to lie. There was a period of time where I was prime example, dating sucks. And I'd be the first person to tell you that. I'm proud to say that, my soon to be wife is the first healthy relationship I've ever been in my life. Yeah. And because the dating game is so, how would I put this? Stupid, because you really are. There comes a point in your life where you just go and say screw it
Yeah.
and try to get yourself out there, whether it's, on the dating apps or, the bars or whatever. I just, at the time, all I wanted was to be accepted and, cared for by someone that wasn't friends or family.
Yes. Very
And,
similar. Yeah.
and it took a little bit to really go and say, hey, how do I view myself here? Do I view myself as this low-life piece of garbage, or do I view myself as, oh, I'm actually a quiet guy, but I'm pretty outspoken in what I view as a good person?
Yeah.
And do I attract that in someone else? It took a long time to really grasp at those straws and go, hey, I really don't want to be the therapist here. I want to be the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, therapy, thank God. Seriously. It's right. It's so
And
therapy.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a Swiss Army knife that can fix all things and it's for all people, but
Nope.
there has been growth on my end with therapy, and it certainly sounds like there's been a little bit of yours, because we have to learn how to silence that inner critic, because that inner critic says things to us that we would never say to other people.
It's so loud. That's the problem. It's so loud. Like it's Gordon Ramsay on steroids. It really is.
Even this episode, I'm having a great time, but there's something in the back of my head that some people are going to be like, man, this dude just talks about music and his growing up. He keeps looping it back, but
stop it. You're fine.
I mean, but that's really, that's how it is. And there's other things that like intersperse themselves in there. Like gaming obviously is a big thing. I do the charity event each year, but that was in my mother's honor. But that, and I'm glad, and I found out about it through Kind of Funny, which Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty, they co-founded that company together, and I found out about Extra Life through them, and now I do it myself. So that's one thing that I'm very proud of each year. When it's hard to find something that you're proud of sometimes. That's real talk. Those are the things you got to take. You got to take the small things. Like I'm proud of my contributions to the show with you. I'm proud of anytime, and we talked about imposter syndrome earlier. Anytime anybody asks me like, hey, do you want to be on a show? I'm always kind of like in the back of my mind, I always say, yeah. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, why? But
right.
But
right.
but I love ridiculous. Doing it. So I'm not going to stop doing it. But therapy is definitely helped, because you gotta learn how to untangle the things. And what you said about the relationship, I since I was out there, I had such a low view of myself for a long time that it took a lot of time to actually get out there. And and then when I did, and it was going well, and things, there was a lot of good in that relationship that I've focused on. I've just kind of reached the point where I'm like, I got to figure out some stuff about myself first before I can like jump back out there. But there is that part of me that I'm like, man, I'm 42, man. So like the time's ticking. But you said it yourself, like the dating game, it's a game. It's a game. That's what it is.
It is. It's a stupid game. I'll tell you that much, because I have the imposter syndrome really does come out every now and then when I'm with Megan. I ask her like, hey, do you really love me? And she goes, do you honestly think I would talk to another stupid guy again? Seriously, men suck.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
Let's be real here.
We do. We're out there. We're out there, ladies, and anybody else out there that's listening. Other men think that men suck too, for sure. But whoever is listening, men suck sometimes, and also women suck. Equal opportunity.
That's the running joke I was going to make.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not even a running joke. It's more of a, hey, how does one individual group of people suck?
Yeah.
Even though the people that are saying those people suck are sucky even more. So, like, it doesn't make a drop of dang sense here. Like, that's what I run the joke of, like, all men are stupid. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's a pretty big generalization there.
All men are gross. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to like call an entire demographic, but like, have you seen the gay community?
Yeah, very fastidious.
Those people are awesome.
yeah.
I have a couple cousins who are gay, and they're the most fun people I've ever been around in my life.
For sure. I've had a few acquaintances. And I also have some family. I'm not going to say exactly who because I'm not, I don't want to be putting people's business all over the internet.
Yeah,
but
I got you.
But you're dead on, man. You're dead on. But as I get older, people are just people. Good people are good people. Bad people are bad people.
Everyone sucks in their own way.
Yeah. I know for sure. I was talking with a coworker not too long ago, and we got on some subjects, and I said, it's not if I've made someone uncomfortable, whether it be a woman or somebody else. It's when I have. There's no doubt about it that I've had, especially when I was younger, because when you're younger, you say and you do stupid things. Now, as you get older, you have to learn not to reflect so much on those things.
Yeah,
because I lived in a lot of regret, and I guess I'm not sure how long you want to go, so I guess I can kind of close for now with this. There was a poem out there, and if anybody else is feeling if anything I've said has resonated with you today, there was a poem out there called "The Man in the Glass." And this poem used to be like my mantra. Look it up. And I first heard about it on a 30 for 30, the two bills. Not my favorite 30 for 30 for sure. It was one of the more boring ones in my opinion. But Bill Parcells references a poem at the beginning of it, "The Man in the Glass." And that poem, I took that as like my mantra because it perfectly described the standard that I tried to hold myself to.
Yep.
And so, but the thing is, it's a lofty goal, and the poem is heavy because I can't remember all the poem, but it basically says, hey, carry yourself so that when it all ends, you can still be happy with the man in the glass, meaning the man in the mirror, the person that is looking back at you.
That's it.
But it's such a high standard to live up to that when I invariably fell from that standard, because I've made mistakes, everybody has.
We all have.
Everybody has. And when I made mistakes, I couldn't deal with it. I was like, I failed. Given my personality type, that was not a good mix. It was not easy for me to forgive myself. And it took, to bring it back around, it took therapy. She said, you didn't murder someone. You didn't, she's going down the list. And I'm just like, yeah, but the man in the glass. And she's like, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. So don't hold yourself. It's good to have morals and it's good to have values, but just understand that once in a while you will fail. You will fail. And it's how you react to that failure that you can pick yourself up.
There is a phrase that I'm trying to find that I have on here somewhere that I have lived. How would I put this? I try to live by this mantra of like, hey, these things got to happen to forge who you are.
Yeah.
The phrase is called the hammer and the anvil.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that.
And it goes, your life is like forging a sword. You start off from the time you're born, you're given a piece of steel. And that piece of steel represents your life. And it could take maybe a minimum 30 years to build your life. Now, you could forge your life into whatever sword you want to become. Could be anything, really. It could be a hammer. It could be a scythe. It could be, piece of armor.
Yeah.
Anything. Now, you need tools in order to make your blade. Those two most important teachers in life are which, in this case, are your tools, which are represented by the hammer and the anvil. Failure and pain are the two biggest teachers in life. Pain is your hammer. Failure is the anvil. And now you need some way to heat up your metal in order to work on it. You need fire. You need some kind of heat source. That representation is rage. In order to cool off the heated material, you need some water or a quench bucket of oil. In this regard, it's a blacksmith phrase or analogy.
Yeah.
And in that case, the quench bucket, rapid cooling, is sadness. Sadness is the quench bucket. These things must happen in order to forge your sword into the blade you want to become. And there are some cracks in that sword.
Yeah.
Hell, it might even break.
Yeah.
But what do you do when the cracks form, or even the sword may break?
Start over. Make a new one.
You fix it. You fix that thing right up. So when you're feeling down or when you're feeling upset and that your life isn't going the way you want it to go or that you think it's supposed to go, remember that. Sometimes these things need to happen in order to forge your sword into the way you want it to be or to forge your life into the dream that you want to have. And that's the beauty of life. It really is. Nothing is perfect. Do you want proof? God himself is not perfect. Why? He made us.
Mm-hmm.
I pissed off many people in the church community with that phrase. I pissed off many people with that phrase.
Man, your directness is something I always appreciate.
I'm
you
a
always
wise
know
man's heart.
You always know where you stand with Dan.
Someone called me Bro Yoda, where he's like, where that person goes, "You're just like Yoda, but as a bro." I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but I'm gonna roll with that.
Dude, they should have shortened it to Broda.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Dustin, this was a fun one. This was a fun time.
Yeah, we went to some spots, man. And you know what? If at some point we could do a part 2, I'd love to talk to you about favorite albums and wrestling, because let me tell you something right now, we didn't really go down the road, baby.
I love that. Dustin, they can find you in Lookers Required and Seahawks Sessions in the capital region of New York at Dusto67 on Twitter and Instagram. My name is Dan Cruz. This has been Volume 57 of BS Sessions. And we'll see you in this life, and we'll certainly the next one. Cheers, everyone. Have yourselves a wonderful night.